Yo guys, what is up? Welcome back to some more Zero Hour and welcome to my little science experiment of the day. Today we're going to be looking at two things. Number one is when you are GLA, what's the best position to be placing your supply? And the second question, which is the biggest question that probably not even a lot of top players have really experienced or probably experienced is not the right word, probably experimented with and actually checked, which is actually the best way. Today, here I am to help absolutely everyone and answer both of them questions. What's the optimal number of workers to be collecting with is the main question, and what's the best position to be placing your supply? So, here I'm on a map called Barren Badlands. This is a replay that I just messed around with yesterday when I had a bit of free time. I was doing some chores around the house and I thought I'd leave this rolling on my PC and then I'll fast forward at a later date to see what the results were. So on this first question here, we've got a number of supplies placed all around the map. Now the thing is with these supplies, they're all roughly got the same amount of workers. Sorry, they've all got the same amount of workers apart from this one supply. But I'll tell you what the differences are and what we're finding out here. So this is what I consider to be probably the most normal supply and what I thought would actually collect the most efficient. So I started with that one, just a regular place supply. Just a decent-ish amount of distance away from the actual supply dock itself. Not a crazy distance away and not too close. It's just like what I would consider the optimal or whatever you would consider like a most normal looking supply. This is not the most scientific experiment in the world, and I have not repeated this over and over again to get loads of different results and then find like the mean average and all that lot. I've just done it once. But I'm pretty sure that it will come out roughly the same every single time. So yeah, if you want to do more experiments, then obviously feel free. This is the most normal looking supply. So we've got 6 workers on pretty much every supply here, unless I see otherwise. So that's a normal looking supply. Here we've got a humanity special. So if you watch the Twilight Flame games the other day, you'll have seen humanity doing a diagonal supply a little bit like that. So he'll do one edge really close to it like that to try and block any harassment from this side, and then let the workers collect from here. So we'll see how much that was delaying him in terms of his collection rate a little bit later on. Over here we've got another normal looking supply, but this one's got 5 workers. This is just because I was running out of positions to do with, but we're going to look more closely at the number of workers later on. So this was just me messing around really. So we've got a normal looking supply with 5 workers. Over here we've got the 6 workers again, but this one is obviously collecting at an angle. Sorry, not an angle, it's collecting at the shorter side of it rather than the longer side. So we'll see how much that delays, because you notice sometimes the workers will go around, they can't collect from like the exact corner, they will go around, collect from here and then go all the way around. So we'll see how much that delays people. And then we've got 6 workers here, but it's a more close supply, so you generally can only fit like 1 layer of workers in there, they can't like double up and stuff. And then over here we've got quite a far away supply, so it's a little bit more further away than this one, for example. You see that? See the distance there? You see the distance there. So my guess going into this is that this one will win, but the question is by how much. So we're going to unpause the game. Now obviously I'm not an absolute machine, so I can't just select these workers, get them collecting at the same time and the same time as these. So what I did was actually get these ones collecting first, but then immediately then set these ones to collect in with a 1 second delay, then these ones, then these ones, then these ones, and then these ones. You see, I did it pretty fast, but there's probably a 1 second delay in between getting them ready. So what we're going to do now is fast forward, and we're going to see how they're collecting. If we just have a look at how the workers are collecting, so these are moving around a bit, one worker or a few workers going around to the side. Here you've got workers going around to the side, and there's one kind of stuck out on the edge here. Here you've got obviously the 5 workers kind of doing the same pattern as them, but I suppose one more will probably be going around to the edge here. These workers, because it kind of runs out of space here, they're all going around to the longer sides. Here, obviously this is the close one when they've got less room to maneuver and stuff like that. And here is the further distance one. So we're just going to fast forward now, and we're going to stop it when the supply looks a little bit dry. Okay, so if we pause now, that's got 675 left. This one's got almost 2k left. This one's got 4.4k left, 2.7, 1.7, and 1.7. Okay, so my prediction is going to be correct. This one is going to finish first. So that would back up the fact that most people probably generally think that is the most optimal supply. So that one's finished there at 536. Which one is going to be next? So the one on the angle there, which is what a lot of people do as well when they're trying to box in and stuff, that is delaying you over the course of well, how many minutes? Probably a course of 11 minutes. It's delaying you by 2.2k almost. This one here, where it's pretty close to, it's delayed you by 1k. So that enemy there, over a period of like what, 11 minutes, that this guy here has had 1k extra bonus than this guy. Is that going to make an absolutely massive difference throughout the game? Probably not, but it could be the difference between having an extra unit or an extra 2 units in your army, and maybe win you a few battles and stuff like that. So all the rest, to be honest, are all finishing around at the same time. This is one with 5 workers, so you can see how much that one is delayed. So it looks like having it too close definitely is delaying you. So those two are going to finish, whether it's too close or too far, it's delayed you about the same amount of time. This one at the angle is delaying you more. So if you're going to do it anywhere, the key takeaway from this, this one has even been helped out by these now because they've actually congregated over here. But what it shows me is that actually 5 workers is very bad. 5 workers is actually going to lose despite that starting actually a second before. Okay, this is getting a little bit of help from these extra workers now, but what difference has that really made? It just shows me that the 5 workers, well, it shows me that building it on the shorter side detriments you the most out of all of these. If you're going to do anything, you're better building it too close or even a little bit further. Building it on the side does delay you, but then also if you're having less workers, that impacts you even more. So that got me thinking then, if we jump into another replay, which we'll do in a second, then what is the optimal amount of workers? So we know shaving 1 off is delaying you by a hell of a lot, but how much does it delay you if you shave 2 off, or if you shave 3 off, or if you're only collecting literally with 2 workers, which we see in pro games all the time, by the way. We do see that all the time. We're going to check how long that actually delays. So if we actually just fast forward this last one now, but you can see clearly that one was last. So we're going to jump into the next replay now. Okay, so jumping into the next replay then, we're just going to fast forward it to around 4 minutes and 20, which is about here. So I've literally just clicked at 420 or 419 for these workers to begin collecting. So we can see here, okay, so he's already taken $75, you can see there. Okay, so this one here has got 2 workers. We've now built all the supplies at the optimal supply because we know that's already the fastest because we just proved it in the previous replay. So we've now tried to build the supply roughly in the same place. Okay, I haven't got my ruler out on the screen and just started measuring the millimeters of the pixels on the screen and stuff like that. I haven't done that. However, they're roughly, I mean, whenever you're in the game, you're never going to get, and you're in a pro game, you're never going to get the ruler out anyway. He says there with a ruler on his screen or something. Big size gets the ruler out. Anyway, we've got two workers here. We've got 3 workers here. 4 workers here. Just check the distance, looks okay. We've got 5 workers here, which we had before. We've got 6 workers up here. And we have 7. 7. There's 4 there. And there's another 3 there, so 7 in total. We haven't compared 8 because I'm going to assume that no one's really going to make 8. Yes, sure, having an extra 8th one might collect you an extra $75 over a longer period of time, but the diminishing returns in your investment will surely come into effect. So we're going to fast forward from here. Let me know in the comments before you maybe watch this, which one do you think is going to win? How much do you think having 2 workers is going to detriment you? I'm going to probably... where should we have a look? We'll have a look. We'll watch this supply here. As we fast forward, because I suppose having 7, you would expect them to kind of win. Let's do a check now. So those 2 there have got roughly like 9. Let's got 11, 14, 16, 20. Keep going. 6, 7, 5. Okay, so that one's run out now. So I have wrote all these down off the video on my desktop, and I'll show you the results in a second. Roughly the same amount, roughly about the right, maybe that on my second out or something like that. But we can clearly see that the 7 workers did win, and then we've got the 6 workers should be next. 6, 7, 5. So going from the 6 to the 7, an extra $200 on your workers, didn't really save all that much. I mean, $675 over a long period of time. Actually quite a lot. Then these workers are going to go down here and actually help this one finish. So this is where it gets a little bit unscientific. I suppose them extra workers, how much is it going to really, probably a few seconds it might affect it by. Then it's going to be the 4 workers. So just having from 4 to 6 workers, well, they probably had close to 5k left when I was still looking over here, because they've now walked all the way down. So you're probably delaying yourself, but by just having 4 workers, you've delayed yourself by roughly between 4 and 5k over the period of the game. So you're still collecting there. Then this one, 3 workers by an extra 5.4k. So you can see a massive difference now between the 4 and the 3. I mean, they were way behind anyway, but now you look at this one. I mean, just look at 2, how horrendous 2 is. So now they finish. And now these are even going to get help, and they're still going to be last. So, I mean, anyone who's having 2 workers on their... anyone who's having 2 workers... Honestly, you need a little bit of a slap. You need a little bit of a wake-up call. Anyway, we're now going to go on desktop mode. I'm going to show you the results. So I actually wrote this out before. Hopefully you can see this. So basically, if you had 7 workers, you're going to be collecting a full supply. It was of 30k, by the way. I think it was 30k. You're going to be collecting 30k in 10 minutes 46. If you then drop 1 worker, so you're saving yourself $200, you're then going to save yourself a few seconds. So between 7 and 6, yes, you are collecting at a slightly faster rate, but really there was only like $600 or $700 left on the supply crate. So is that going to make a difference in the game? Well, like I said, it could be one or 2 extra units over the course of the game, and it could help you win some battles. So yeah, it could make a difference, but you also have had to invest that extra $200 for that extra worker. So between 6 and 7, I don't think there's really much in it. But of course, if you want to collect the ultimate fastest, then 7 workers is the best, according to this little experiment we've done here. Then we're starting to see a drop off. So then you see it takes the between 6 and 5 workers, you see an extra whole minute. Well, almost an extra whole minute to be collecting the full supply. So I think that one had like an extra 2. Between 2 and 3k left to collect at the end of the game, which could make a massive difference. Then you are starting to see it jump up in like whole 2 minutes and beyond. So from 12 minutes 3 seconds it took to mine that supply out, now it's taking 14 minutes and 19 seconds. And then from that point on, it just spirals out of control. So then you're going up by another 3 minutes, or almost 3 minutes if you go from 3 workers, which you're still seeing pros do in pro games and in tournaments and stuff. You're still seeing people collecting 3 workers regularly. I guarantee you, if I watch 3 pro matches, I'm guaranteed that I'll find at least a couple of games where they're collecting on 3 workers. So they're collecting a massive, well, if we compare it to the fastest one, 10 minutes 46, they're taking an extra like 6.5 minutes or 6.25 minutes to collect their full supply, which most games in 0 don't go over 6 minutes 45. Most games last between like what, 7 and 8 minutes, something like that. So or between 6 and 7 minutes. Then if you go from 2 up to 2 workers, which it sounds ridiculous, but people are still doing it. Honestly, I see GLA mirrors, and when people have built their supply way too close, only 2 workers can fit there. They think all their workers are collecting, or whatever be the reason. You see a massive difference there between 17 minutes and 21 seconds. So I'll leave all the results there for you. If you noticed any anomalies in this, or I've got anything wrong by a few seconds, whatever, feel free to comment, or if you want to run any more tests. But what are my key takeaways from this? What's the conclusion? Well, the conclusion is you always want to be collecting on a minimum of 5 workers, but ideally 6. 6 is probably the optimal, but if you're going to go one way or the other, you probably want to have 6 or 7 rather than like 5 or 4. You never want to be collecting on like 5 workers or less. Like 2, 3, 4 workers is just inexcusable. And the other key takeaway was this is the best position to build in your supply. And if you're building it on the side like that, by the end of the game, you will still have 2k or whatever it was, 2-point-something K left on your supply, whereas the opponent will have already mined it out. And that extra 2k plus having the right amount of workers could mean all the difference between you winning or losing the game. So yeah, let me know what you thought of this experiment. Did you learn something here? Did you know all of this already? Did you know the exact times and the exact numbers and stuff like that? And is there anything else you want me to test in the future? So GG, hopefully this helps some of you on the battlefield, and see you in the next one.